Well, it is officially do or die time for these 14 teams, but who is in the best position to succeed? Well, let's go ahead and break down my official wildcard power rankings. Alright, so starting off here, we have at number 14, the Green Bay Packers. This team was not ranked in the top 10 last week. They're not really up or down, just not ranked. They are currently 9-8, and this team is probably the weakest in my book. Jordan Love has been up and down all season. He has been a roller coaster of a quarterback. He's great, then he's bad, then he's great, and then he's bad again. This team is just way too inconsistent for me to trust them as far as I could throw them. So, overall, they are, in my opinion, the weakest team entering the playoffs. Moving on now to number 13, we have the 9-8 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, another team that was not ranked as well. This team could have very easily switched places with the Packers. Once again, another inconsistent quarterback, inconsistent play from the team. But I feel like with this Buccaneers team, the defense is just a little bit better than the Packers defense. The quarterback play tends to be better than what we've seen in Green Bay. It tends to be a little bit more consistent this season. And not to mention that whenever he's the underdog, Baker Mayfield loves to perform. So I really think the Buccaneers are in a better position, so that's why I rank them higher than the Packers. Moving on to number 12, we have the Philadelphia Eagles down 2 spots from last week. This 11-6 team, man, they struggled down the stretch, and this team is limping into the playoffs. They are ahead of the other two teams because they are just a more talented group of players. But the way this team is playing, they just don't have any fight. They feel like they are just a zombie going into the playoffs saying, wins. They don't really have any sort of sense of identity. This team is in an identity crisis, and they can't figure out how to win effectively. At number 11, we have the 10-7 Steelers, who were also not ranked last week. This team, yes, it was an ugly game against Baltimore, but I look at it from the side of the conditions of the game weren't really great. Pairing with the fact this team is starting to look better with Rudolph under center. I mean, if you take out that Baltimore game, this man is playing really good football at the right time with this Steeler offense. And the way the Steelers are going to be riding the hot hand here in the playoffs, it is very possible that this team can go into Buffalo. The point spread at the time of recording this, I believe, was like 10. Buffalo was 10-point favorites. The Steelers easily cover that. In my opinion, that's easy money. This team is playing so much better on offense against a suspect Bills team that, yes, it's in Buffalo, but this team has the potential right now. Offensively, they are more potent than they've been all season, and defensively, they are still a solid unit that should not be messed with. So that being said, the Steelers are looking pretty solid. At number 10, we have the 11-6 Dolphins. This team was not ranked last week. They are ahead of the Steelers just because of a sheer talent differential. Yes, they are losing some key pieces on defense like Van Ginkel, but at the same time, the offense is just so potent, and as long as Jalen Waddle can get back on the field, this team should have no problems being able to steamroll anyone with Waddle and Tyreek Hill. They very well could go into Kansas City and mess up a very good, well, not really very good, let's be real, they kind of suck, but historically a good Kansas City Chiefs team. At number 9, you have the Kansas City Chiefs. Speaking of the Chiefs, they are down 2 spots from last week. This 11-6 team did end up winning their division, but they have been looking ugly. And congratulations there to Kansas City. You won your division when you had 2 head coaches get fired and 1 team basically giving up on their star quarterback. So, yeah, that really tells you a lot. They barely won that division. They only clinched it in week 17. So this team is not looking great. Now, they do have the elements to their advantage this week. It should be a pretty cold game there in Kansas City. So, you know, a warm team like the Dolphins going in there is going to be interesting. But overall, this team is very sloppy going into the playoffs. Moving on to number 8, we have the 11-6 Bills, up from not being ranked last week because this team, they have potential. They have the firepower, and they have been looking better. They have been riding a hot streak. So it's kind of tough to say that they're going to be lower down on this list. But I am not as convinced about them as I am the true contenders on this list that are above them. And honestly, Buffalo, they don't seem to have that it factor. I said it in the tier list video. Yeah, that was what was the tier list video. So if you haven't checked it out, make sure you check it out. It will be in the card down here at the end of the video. But anyway, just looking at the Bills, they're riding a hot streak, but they just don't have that it factor to take them to the next level. Moving into number 7, we have the 10-7 Houston Texans, up 1 spot from last week, and man, I am high on this team. If they can win this game against Cleveland, there is a decent chance in my book that this team goes to the Super Bowl. This is their AFC Championship game, if you ask me. Because this team, they could beat Miami. They could shut down that offense. Or that offense can basically run over the Miami defense. And even, that Houston defense is pretty decent in its own right. They should be able to shut down that Miami offense. Going to Buffalo, no problem. Josh Allen, yeah, he's a solid quarterback. But then you have a really good quarterback in C.J. Stroud that's going to try to outduel Josh Allen. And I think he can any day of the week. Really, the only other team that I would see giving this team some problems would be Baltimore. But Baltimore has had a couple of games where it's been, what is this team truly like? So I think that this is their Super Bowl for C.J. Stroud. They win this game, they got a chance to make it. Taking a look at the number 6 spot, I have the 12-5 Detroit Lions. This team, I have them up here because when they are on, they are on. But my biggest concern with this team is, will they be on? That I can't guarantee. I look at this team and I see, okay, if they don't turn the ball over, they're Super Bowl contenders in my book any day of the week. But when they do turn the ball over, they lose in embarrassing fashion. And you never know what Lions team you're going to get from week to week. So because of that, I can't really put them in the top 5. But when they're on, they are a top 3 team in the league. At number 5, we have their opponent this week, the Los Angeles Rams, sitting at 10-7, and this team is looking good. They ended up getting a big win over the Niners. Now, yeah, it was a meaningless win because it was backups v. backups, but this allows the Rams to have to face, instead of the Cowboys, they would face the Lions in the first round. So that is a lot more of a favorable matchup, in my opinion, for the Rams. And this team is just riding a wave. This team is one of those teams that you just set them out to play ball and they'll have fun and they'll win games. That's how they do it, and the Rams look really good when they do that. So I really feel like they have the potential to do that. That defense is also getting better, and the offensive line is just gelling even more with each and every game they play. Moving on to number 4, we have the 12-4 Dallas Cowboys. This team, once again, just like the whole top 6, it's remaining pretty much unchanged, not moving at all from last week. As this team getting a big win over Dallas, or over Washington. Dallas wouldn't beat Dallas. That's kind of stupid, but anyway. Just the way Dallas won that game is big, but I just feel like they are not as consistent enough to be able to jump the number 3 team and even get into the top 2. We're not going to drop the number 2 teams, or the top 2 teams, I should say. So overall, Dallas looking pretty solid, but I just don't feel like they're that top 3 team right now. Looking at number 3, we have the 11-6 Cleveland Browns. This team is looking really good. We take Week 18 out of the equation because of backups, and this team is still riding that wave. Right now, the Browns sitting at a decent spot. Once again, Cleveland is in a very similar situation as Houston. If Cleveland can beat Houston, they have a decent chance of going to the Super Bowl. So this is going to be the match of the AFC. I would love to see Texans-Browns as your AFC championship. Unfortunately, seeding worked out so that it would not happen. But man, that would be a fun match to see. And we're going to see it on Saturday, I think it is. So that's going to be a really fun game to watch. It very well could be the battle of the AFC. Moving on to number 2, we have the San Francisco 49ers. This team, once again, a very complete team, but they have not been able to rebound since that big loss to Baltimore. So overall, they're a solid team sitting at 12-5. They are the top seed in the NFC. But I just feel like there's another team, and you know who it is, the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens just feel like a better team than the Niners. Speaking of the Ravens, number 1, obviously the 13-4 Baltimore Ravens. This team just looks unstoppable. Offensively, they are potent with Lamar having another MVP season, or more than likely, I don't want to call it right now and be wrong. But anyway, and that defense playing really good football, it is just a match made in heaven. The AFC is going to be a 3-team race. Cleveland, Houston, and Baltimore. After wildcard weekend, it's going to be a 2-horse race in my opinion. So buckle up, baby. We're going to have a great ride ahead. And we'll see. Can Baltimore keep the momentum going that they had from the regular season? Alright, well that's about going to do it for me today. If you guys did like, don't forget to smash like and subscribe, because it does help me out a whole lot. It tells me that I'm doing stuff that you guys like, and I should keep doing what I'm doing. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you go ahead and check out the tier list video over here. Week 18 update, setting up for the playoffs, and these are officially my playoff predictions for the 2023 NFL playoffs and leading into the Super Bowl. And I guess with that, I will see you guys later. Peace out and have a good one.